Welcome back to another great episode of Live on Purpose. We are in the middle of season 6 and man is it going. Today we have a great show for you. So sit back, relax, get your glass of wine and let's get it. Phyllis and Lynn, we're here today to talk about some of the challenges and issues that the LGBT community faces. Mm-hmm. And I know you see a lot as executive director. Mm-hmm. Let's just get right in. Let's start talking about what have you encountered.
So we are an organization that provides all sorts of programs and services. Our primary programs are Sage Cleveland, which is a program that is dedicated to providing services to LGBT older adults.
Okay.
We sometimes forget that we get old, we age.
Right.
So all the issues that any elder people who deal with aging populations would provide services for, we need that for LGBT older adults, and we have the other issues on top of that around isolation, around discrimination, around fear, being vulnerable as an old gay man or an older lesbian who doesn't conform to society's norms about what an older woman should look like.
Right.
So there's lots to go with that. We also have youth programming. We have a teen pregnancy prevention program at the LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland. And sometimes folks go, well, why would you have that? You're talking about same-sex couples.
People
and
still get
like
pregnant,
that.
right?
Right. And we're talking about teenagers, we're talking about young adults, we're talking about people who are exploring, so that LGBTQ is sometimes questioning. And so when they're questioning and figuring it out, you might be having, making choices that are not safe for you if you don't have medically accurate information about sexually transmitted diseases, HIV, pregnancy. So we have a program, partnership with the Calhoun County Board of Health. It's a great program. There's service learning aspect to it. Really great to have something for our youth and to really plug into and know that the programming is held at the center. We have programming for young adults, that 19 to 24-year-old age, where lots of folks deal with family rejection. So while it is more common that each of us will admit to knowing someone in our family, our church, our neighbors, our friends, our exes, who are gay or lesbian, bisexual, or even trans, while we see more of that, we're still a marginalized group and discriminated against, and our kids definitely continue to get bullied in school, so we have programming for them. Variety, I can keep talking, I know we have just a little bit of time, but we have all the vulnerabilities that any of the social ills that you might see, and we happen to be a social deviance, if you will, in that we don't conform to heteronormative behavior about who we love, how we express our gender, and things like that. So, there's some issues.
So how long has the community center been there? Because when I think about that, I think about people who didn't have this available to them, and how long have you guys been?
Yeah, so one of the things that I always do when I talk about the center is I say, if you're a Clevelander, because I'm a true Clevelander, I claim Cleveland, born and raised here, is that you should be proud that Cleveland has had an LGBT community center for now 41 years.
Wow.
So we are the third established LGBT center in the nation. I happen to serve on the board of, which is a trade association of LGBT centers across the nation called CenterLink. There's 248 centers across the nation. Some, maybe even internationally, some are very small and volunteer driven. So we might have a center that's just 3 people and they all volunteer, and it's a virtual center and not an office. But some as big as $90 million budgets with 500 plus staff.
Wow.
We are a very small center, having lived here in Cleveland for 41 years. We have 10 staff. Our operating budget is about $527,000, so that's not a lot of money, and we get a lot done with that. So it's a great center, in Cleveland. Be proud of it, and come see about us.
Right. So being in the LGBT community, have you utilized the communities, the services in that center?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to the center numerous times. I've been to the center just to seek information myself, because like she said, it's hard when you first come out, especially with family. That's the number one thing. So sometimes it's, you know, you want to know, what do I do? What do I say? You know, when you're telling a loved one, when you're telling family, you know, how you feel about yourself and how you live your life. And the center has helped. I've been as young as the first time I went to the center, I probably was maybe 19.
Okay.
And I mean, they guided me along the way. I mean, it was a place where I could just go, even if I just wanted to go in and talk to somebody about my feelings. They have many ears to listen. And I mean, they're opening, it's non-judgmental, of course. I mean, you could see it's information everywhere about everything. They even have classes sometimes. And so the center there, like she said, it's small, but you would never know it once you go inside. It's like it's this big heart that just embraces you.
So when you talk about family rejection, what are the steps that one should take when approaching their family? Because I know it's a sensitive subject. You have different age brackets in your family. You have different upbringings. Even though it's a family, you still have different household, different religious beliefs, etc. How do you make that first approach? Or how did you?
Well, me, I don't know, I guess because of who I am, I just, this is me, this is who I am, this is take it or leave it. I mean, because of who I am. But at the same time, when you have maybe grandparents, like you say, the older, you have grandparents or great aunts, of course, you're going to want to be respectful to them. I'm respectful. It's not that I just throw anything in anyone's face, but I also at the same time need you to know that this is my life. And this is how I live it. So, you know, me, I took the approach of, I actually started with my mom. That was the approach I started with, my mom. And it was like, from there, she's like, whatever you do, if you need me, I got your back. So that made it easier.
So you started a support center there.
So it made it easier for me starting with my mom, and by my mom saying, she looked at me like,
what, you just finding out?
Like, that's just how she looked at me, like you just now knowing that. And it was just like, with her being a support, and then my siblings, of course, they supported me, hands down. It was absolutely no question. And again, with the support of the center, having a place to go, just because you know you can't talk to your mom and your siblings about everything. And then, you know, I lost some friends behind it, so, but I gained friends through the center. So it was just, I just felt like you got to pick and choose your battles with your family. And again, you got to figure out where you want to start. Me, it was with my mom.
And do you see a lot that struggle with family rejection? And, you know, I've heard that sometimes it can cause people to go into depression, or because rejection in itself is an issue, and then when it's relative to who you are, I think it cuts a little bit deeper.
It goes to the question, you know, like how did you come out? Everybody has their own coming out process, and I think people gauge the level of loss that they can withstand.
Because that makes sense.
It's terrible, you know, like you know, do you lose your besties, your friends from high school? Do you lose your family respect? You know, will you lose your job? Will you lose your security in terms of where you live? Will your siblings be picked on and beat up if you come out, or if they're protecting you? So we see it a lot. It comes in all different shapes and forms. It comes as, you know, like you know, sitting down with the elder and them talking about their life as a married person to the opposite sex, and that they have always known that they were, you know, gay or lesbian, but they did what they were supposed to do. And then, you know, this one story is heartbreaking. You know, older man talking about not ever telling his wife, and she has Alzheimer's now, and his kid, and he's, you know, needing support, and his kids, he has grandchildren, and he wants to come out. He doesn't think he should tell his wife who has Alzheimer's, because what good would that do? And he wants to tell his children, but he's afraid if he tells his children, they won't allow him access to his grandchildren. So these are the things, and then we get those stories, and then we get the stories of the young people who, you know, come out and, you know, they're already teenagers and some of them are, you know, dealing
so they're
with
already dealing with too
all that
much.
stuff
Yeah, right.
to get put out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, they happen to be, you know, queer, if you will. And so like, you know, what do you do with that? So everybody has their own coming out process. I also see it in, you know, like many folks will leave their family place where they grew up and come out in another city.
Right.
So there are folks who are out and, you know, they might be out here and I might know them and I might, you know, they might come to the center or go to LGBTQ events around the city, but they're not out to their parents.
Okay.
And their parents might know, and typically moms know.
Yes.
I have a very similar coming out story. Once I told my mom, nobody else bothered me. They might not have liked it,
Right.
but once she was
Right.
just like,
Right.
you know, Granny don't like it, but, you know,
Right.
they don't handle that. You know, like,
Right.
so I think once that happens, when somebody can feel the love of a parent despite what the, you know, society is saying, you know, we know that we are who we are and it just is.
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to convey that or have somebody who doesn't know it understand it, but if you know that you're straight and not a lesbian, how
Right.
come I can't know that I'm a lesbian
Right.
and not straight? So that's a
Yeah.
whole nother story, but I think it's tough. It's
Yeah.
everybody you lose something. We're just not ready yet. Things are good, but they're not great. We're
Yeah.
still getting bullied. We're still getting discriminated against. You can get married. I'm going to a wedding today. Two men getting married, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, but you can get, in the state of Ohio, there's no federal protection, so you can get
Right.
married today,
Mm-hmm.
fired tomorrow.
Right.
And the employer would be within their right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk more about some of the challenges, and I really want to hit on transgender as this becomes more and more of a topic that is in our cities, in our streets. So I want to talk more about it when we come back, right here on Live on Purpose. So a while ago, when I was speaking at a conference, you know, this lady came up to my mom and said, "Your daughter, man, the way she speaks, you know, she speaks with purpose," and it just kind of stuck. And I started poetry when she speaks purpose, and it just developed from there. I feel like we all have a purpose, and mine is to develop people and shine a light on people. I represent the person whose voice is big, but doesn't have the power behind it, doesn't have the network behind it. I want to be that network. We're continuing the conversation, and right before the break, we opened up the door for transgender. And I feel like transgender is more prevalent in the society's eyes right now. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with Caitlyn Jenner or what have you, but it just seems like it's easier to discuss now. However, I still feel, and this, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I still feel that transgender is very misunderstood. Transgender, people look at sexuality versus looking at, in transgender in particular, it's more of the person and what they identify with as a whole, as a human being, not who they're sexually attracted to. Could you guys provide a little bit more education around that?
Yeah, I think, so gay, lesbian, you know, bisexual is about, you know, attraction.
Right, right.
It's about, if you're gay or lesbian, then you have same-sex attraction. If you're bisexual, then you have attraction toward both, you know, male and female, if you will.
Right.
I think, you know, so that's a, you know, huge distinction because, you know, people, you know, we get confused. And
Right.
also, you know, gays and lesbians, you know, around what it means to be, you know, trans.
Right.
What it means to be transsexual, meaning that, you know, your sex is about your heart, your gender identity is about your head, your brain.
Right,
You know what I
exactly,
mean? Like,
right.
so like I am, my gender expression is female. You know, I'm dressed down, I don't have a dress on or lots of makeup, some, you know, whatever. But like, you know, I could be easily identified by societal terms or the binary as female, my gender expression female. However, my gender identity, I might perform female because I know that that's expected of me because of my born, born as female. but my identity might be more male, or even might be male completely, or masculine of center, or somewhere on the continuum.
Right.
So then you get someone who identifies as trans, where there's a mismatch in that. And so many people, some people, not all, transition, and people transition in various ways. But we even see that in terms of, you know, like, there's, bucking the binary has always happened, you know, like, so, you know, like masculine of center women, or butch, like a butch lesbian, you know, like, so there is a continuum. Trans is something different, you know, absolutely. And it's hard for many people to understand it. Like someone who, you know, transitions from male to female, so they are a woman who is trans, who might be attracted to, could be attracted to a man or a woman.
Right. Okay.
So she might be a trans woman who is a lesbian, or she might be a trans woman who's straight. You know, like, or a trans woman who.
Right.
So
it's a difference between who you're attracted to versus who you identify with.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you because you are more on the masculine side in which you dress, the way you dress, the way you behave. How do you feel? Like, I've heard you say that men feel threatened by you. Do you find that to be the case, and how frequent does it happen, and why does it happen, so to speak?
I find that to be the case quite a bit sometimes. And for me, I personally just feel like that male they have their own problem. They're insecure in their own ways for their own reason. Because at the end of the day, I am who I am. And people that know me, they hear me say this, I'm me. Because I've had people ask me, you know, and I tell them I'm me. Because at the end of the day, what it is I identify more with males. I identify more as masculine. I dress as a male. However, it's not, I wouldn't go and change who I am, meaning I wouldn't go and have the surgery to go from female to male. I'm attracted to women. That's how it is. Again, I'm me. But I'm not going to change me just for society purposes. And I feel like that would be me going and changing into a male through surgery for societal purposes, when I'm not going to do that because I'm me. Who I love is who I love. You can't help who the heart loves.
But if you understand, gender, like, or gender performance as a social construct, then you know you understand a lot more. Like, you can be a woman and have more masculine, or enjoy more what society says, or how we've been socialized around what's masculine.
Right.
I mean, this is we watch our kids and, you know, play with toys and freak out when our baby boys play with dolls.
Barbies.
I mean,
Exactly.
It's just like, I mean, maybe, I mean, if you're straight, that might be a good thing, you know, like around learning anatomy, you know, of the opposite sex or something. So, like, if you can really just, like, calm down and understand that we have been socialized to say that a man is this and a woman is this, when we all know we have all these places in between.
Absolutely.
And depending on where you hit is where you're going to be accepted or rejected or bullied or killed, or people feel intimidated by your masculinity when they have it all, you know, and the power that comes with it. You know? So I understand, you know, I understand it. I just think we need to start having real conversations about this. And it might not be your thing, but there's other things out there for you. It's not your thing, you know. Just let people be.
I think that, I'm sorry
to
interrupt you, I just think that this should be more table talk at home than what it really is. This, people that have children, you need to have these discussions with your kids, because there is a lot of kids, teenagers, young adults that's killing themselves behind this. And it shouldn't happen. You should never feel like I'm not going to be loved by my parents because of who I love or who I am. That's why it needs to be more talk about it. You need to talk. I mean, there's no mystery. You know that if your son has feminine tendencies,
right?
You know that. That's your son.
They just call girls tomboys instead of like really starting to dig in and look at it.
And you really need to look at it. And that was my thing growing up. I was always called a tomboy growing up. My whole entire life. I played football. I played basketball. I played baseball. You know, and I played with all the boys in the neighborhood. Right. I had big wheels. You know what I mean? I had.
Well, I had a big wheel too.
But
so I don't know.
If the boys,
it was. I think it was red.
See, I had a green machine.
Okay.
You know,
I had a green machine too.
I had a green machine. I mean, I had. If the boys got it, I wanted it. If the boys had a basketball hoop, I wanted a basketball hoop. Right. It was like everything, and it's just I feel that it'll probably be a lot easier with society if you have that talk. If you have that table talk with your children at a young age, and let your children know that it's okay.
Right.
Because that's where everything goes wrong, is when that child feels this is not okay. How I feel, this is not okay. What, you know what I mean? And that's when you lose your children. And
you always have to have that conversation though, because when you are in school and you're in health class, it's male, female, here is male, female reproduction, and there's no, but when it comes to emotions, feelings, etc., there's always gray area that needs to be discussed. Right. It doesn't happen at the table. So what would you tell a young lady, 16, 17 right now, that feels what you felt at 16 and 17?
What I would tell them is, first off, if there's no one in your family that you can talk to, if there's no one that you feel comfortable enough with in your family, I would say go out and talk to somebody. The center is one of the best places, again, because when you go there, you're going to see people just like you.
Exactly. And we need to see people like us.
Exactly. You're going to encounter someone just like you. You can talk to someone just like you. You can talk to people that have experienced it just like you. Just find that support system and lean on it, because sometimes you may need it in order to get through it.
Yeah. And do you counsel families there so that they can better deal with someone that's just come out?
Yeah, we don't actually have counseling services that we deliver. We partner with Applewood Centers for our young adults, and also the May Dugan Community Center. They come in for counseling. But for families, there's another group that we collaborate with, and they're called PFLAG. Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, it used to be, but it also includes trans families, and they meet, once a month at Trinity Cathedral. It's probably a room of 30, 40 allies, family members. Some of the folks who are there to support are there too, so that folks can talk to each other about it, like what it's like to be a mom when your kid comes out. Like a lot of moms start thinking, like, does that mean I'm not going to have grandchildren? I have 2 kids and I've been a lesbian for all my life. You know what I mean? Like, so there, it's not, it's just sort of like normalizing what has been hidden for so long and seen as taboo in terms of having even someone in your family. Many of us are overachievers, and part of that is like gaining independence. Especially, I want to I can't speak this is speaking in generality, so it's not factual, but like I think about the Black family and how we rely on each other and generations and cousins and aunties and how we do in terms of support for each other. When you know that you're going to potentially lose that because you come out, so then you try to figure out how to make it on your own.
Right.
So many of us will overachieve and then, seek acceptance from our family because, we're doing that. And it's not that we couldn't overachieve anyway and that we shouldn't, and we want more of us in general too. But those are the kinds of things that sometimes happen. The other things are the things that she's talking about. I don't see anyone else like me. I feel like I'm in isolation. So while that family is tripping about the fact that their loved one is saying that they are, different, that person is going through so much themselves. And so it is a good idea for to know that there's someone else like you that you can talk to, that you're not just getting all the information from social media or your peers who might not know all the deal around it, that there are are safe environments.
Right.
And safe meaning that not people won't discriminate against you, but you're not going into environments like bars necessarily, and taking your vulnerability out to the street where people can exploit it.
Right.
So I think PFLAG is a great group to be able to connect to around that, and certainly starting out at the center, and like we can offer all sorts of referrals for folks to get the kind of support system that fits for them. You know, one of the things I will say about PFLAG is that there are not very many people of color who go to PFLAG. So as a person of color, I wouldn't want to be like, yeah, go to PFLAG, and you're like, where are black people at?
Right,
you know, like,
right.
There are some, but you know, like there's some cultural challenges around some of that, and feeling welcome and affirmed. So, but there are other places that we can refer. There's groups that folks can start at the center themselves if they needed it too.
Okay. Why don't you give the information to our viewers about the LGBT Community Center here in Cleveland?
Yep. So LGBT Community Center of Greater Cleveland, we're located on the west side, 165th in Detroit, in the Gordon Square Arts District. So when you come, you can go to get some coffee and check out one of the theaters. Our website is www.lgbtcleveland.org. We also have Facebook, and we also have Instagram, and I think we also have Twitter.
Okay, yeah, so you can get them anywhere. Great. Well, thank you both for being on the show. I think this is a conversation that we need to continue to have, just to show our support as well. But I do appreciate you both for being on the show.
Thank you.
When we come back, a few of my thoughts. Live on Purpose Internet TV show is the vehicle that's going to be what propels that information out for the community and for the members of the community, but it's a movement. I mean, really exposing and bringing information to the public about the community. I'm just a vessel for people's stories to be heard. Thank you for tuning in to another great show of Live on Purpose. Listen, you just heard from Phyllis and Lynn and some of the challenges that are facing our LGBT community. Make sure you reach out, learn more, and stop judging. We'll see you next week, Live on Purpose.